The grand final at the ZOTAC Monthly Final, ladies and gentlemen. TBD going up against the Russian Circus. And no, it's not a Murky ban. The draft tool currently doesn't support Varian, and that's why Murky is, so to say, a placeholder. So Varian banned out right away. Apparently Russian Circus watched the games earlier that the Bees played, where they used Varian with stun comms after level 4. That stun that you have on your charge is pretty powerful if you can follow that up. So, ADRD, the mad scientist, again the drafter here, of course, for the Bees, with a ban on Malfurion. And the Russian Circus, they have proven again to play these aggressive comms that especially the Eastern European teams have always been known for. Usually they overdo it a little bit with it, but they have very entertaining games to offer and oftentimes also a lot of success. We can all still remember the reason why Blood for Blood got actually nerfed, right? Because the Russians came up with the insane idea, what if we pick 5 heroes that have all Blood for Blood and just blow targets up after 16 using Blood for Blood on the same target? So that worked really well, not using it as a heal but as a nuke, and they just insta-killed heroes. So Blizzard at some point looked at this and was like, we never thought about that. We should probably nerf that. That's how that happened. So yeah, they always come up with fun stuff. And we see a hero that was banned out in most of the games that we had on Tomb of the Spider Queen earlier today. We have Tacita. So ETC taken first of all. That's pretty consistent with what we've seen from the Russian Circus. And Avala plus Tacita being picked now. So, with Tacita already taken, and on this map, still the question, do we throw in a Medivh and just leave it at that? Or are we going to see a dedicated healer for them? So a lot of potential for sure. They played in the past, a lot of Tracer comms, not necessarily on this map right now, but I want to see what they're up to here. Whereas the Russian Circus is dropping that Oriel. Sevkaja has been trying the entire time to use this Tayman strike to get value out, and actually played some really nice moves in the last few games. At this point though, he gets a lot of value out of the Tayman strike, since all of these areas around the turning points offer a lot of walls where you can just like push someone into a wall, get the extra stun in. He was playing more of a heal-focused build so far, but still on level 4, the Tayman strike for the extra slow, and they rely on Tychus once more. So the good old Renegade is making an appearance in this draft as well. Tychus already chosen. It's a map where we could also see Liming, for example. We've actually seen a little bit more Jaina these days again, just simply because she is part of a lot of these lockdown comps that we get to see. It's by Varian, we see him in form of the Murky portrait here, where he was banned out because it's a little bit reminiscent of just like lockdown, Jaina, and just like burst away. And this is, one of the reasons why Jaina is being banned out now. So, yeah. You have ETC, could follow it up with something else, so they did decide against it. Johanna was a very consistent pick on Tomb of the Spider Queen for a lot of these teams, TBD being one of them. So right now the Russian Circus is actually targeting Johanna. It's kind of interesting how that meta shifts slightly. For a long time, a lot of like the pro teams looked at Johanna and said like, doesn't really offer enough. The wave clear is not enough to really make her worth it here. Other tanks are just offering more utility, are better in that setup. And these days, Johanna is not only moving more into the draft and being a big pick, but she's also so far prioritized that she's even being banned out right now. It still leaves Muradin. Muradin, of course, offers a lot of utility, but he doesn't really have the same wave clear that a Johanna can use. So right now, TPD is still very likely to get Muradin, unless, of course, they want to play some Kerrigan combo with Ethereal, which they can actually do. This is one of the maps where Blade played that a lot, but recently he switches more to Alarak a little bit more often. But with the comeback of Thrall, he seems to be the dedicated solo laner for them at the bottom of the map. Still a bit of potential for them to make even a switch. Like for the longest time it was the Kerrigan play, then Alarak came in, and now we have Thrall with Earthquake starting to make something happen. It's also another hero that has quite a bit of sustain for himself, so that is also not too bad. Alright, so that would solve the solo lane. That would definitely be a case. For the Russian Circus, we don't have a solo laner yet, but there's a lot of options that they have for this still. Gone are the days where you always just simply saw the Zagara. And there's the Switcherino. I would enjoy a Zeratul. I don't believe really in him at this point, especially with them banning Jaina. I can see the Chen, he's another great solo laner. I was actually like thinking about a potential Chen for Russian Circus if Thrall is being picked here, but they are going a completely different way. Tacita seems more likely to be the only support for them, unless they now drop that Lily. But Chen and Stitches, that would have been Not quite what I expected here. But hey, if AD drafts it, I'm willing to give it a shot. Like that's a thing. Having a Tacita Lily on the other hand, yeah, she's looking for adventure. So yeah, count me in. It's the pandas. They play Chen and they play Lily. It's cute. It's a lot of pandas. We could have potentially 4 pandas in the game, which is the max. Yeah, ever since Abathar. Well, I guess you can still Abathar clone one of the two. So, Russian Circus, in my opinion, likely to go Thrall. Or Alarak, that works too. I thought they would actually, on personal preference, prefer Thrall, but Alarak would work very well. Can definitely give Chen a run for his money down at the bot lane. Might not have the same wave clear as a Chen, but he definitely has the pressure on him. So the last pick for them could actually right now be another range damage, and then we are talking Li Ming again. So Li Ming was another hero that we talked about a bit earlier. Gul'dan. For some reason, on this map, I always forget about Gul'dan. On Braxis is like one of the first things that I think about on Infernal Shrines, but on for some reason, on Tour Spider Queen, one of the best maps for the hero, I'm always blanking. I'm like sitting there and I'm always like looking, what could they pick? And I'm like, Ming would fit. And of course Li Ming would fit, but Gul'dan has that wave clear. He is nasty as hell, a great part of the rotation. So yeah, good picks here for them. And as Sonya, Leoric is a little bit more likely, isn't it? Leoric here, Sonya would shock me, to be honest. We have seen some players go back into Sonya. She's by no means like trash, but she is a lot harder to fit into these comps than Leoric. Dehaka is actually getting some value too. It's not really the biggest map, but during the turn-in, around the turn-in slots, there's a lot of like rushes that you can actually use to get value from Dehaka's Bush Stalker. So yeah, okay, so we have a Dehaka comp. This is once again like one of these ADRD comps. It's not, if you look at this draft and you would have to guess the map, you would never come up with Tomb of the Spider Queen. Nobody looks at this draft and says like, yeah, of course, that's a Tomb draft right there. So, yeah, in this case, guys, let's jump in and see who's going to take the lead here. It's the grand final of the ZOTAC Monthly Final, and we are on Tomb of the Spider Queen with the 2Bs determined going up against the Russian Circus. Game number 1 in the final, ladies and gentlemen. Alex, big shout out to you. Thank you for the sub on the channel. And yeah, we have to the left side of the map right now 2Bs determined, the very determined bees, as some call them wasps. Blade on Chen, Curson on Lily, the pandas are in the house, ADRD on Tacita, Bad Benny on Dehaka. We have Nick on Vala, and to the right side of the map, Sir Ice Cream on Tychus, Mopsy on ETC, Neon on Gul'dan, Power of Dream on Alarak. His actual nickname is Power of Dreams, but the S didn't fit anymore. And Sevkaja on Oriel. And I want to see what is that Chen rocking as a mount. I'm not so sure on that. I was going for the doubloon. I would have accepted the money pick. Blade, I don't think I can let this slide. That's minus points on the style issue. I'm very, very, very sorry. So, let's check this out. We have Power of Dream and his boys in the mid lane, like all 5 of them. And yeah, in terms of talents, pretty much the standard thus far. We've seen Sevkaja on his Oriel already going straight for that heal build. The heal focus with a couple of Detainment Strike talents taken as well. We're having the block party. We have also corruption stacks happening, of course, on level 1. And with that being the case, we have a Timeless Creature going for the full Serpent build. We're having the Primal Aggression for the wave clear. The Hot Pursuit, Conjurer's Pursuit, and down here already Alarak starting to go straight for that Dehaka, who has interestingly enough the bot lane. I really expected a battle to happen between Chen and Alarak here, but I'm not quite sure how Bad Benny's going to measure up against Power of Dream here. So far, Alarak is having that completely in his hands, which is also thanks to the rotation that has been happening a little bit earlier. Alarak, of course, going straight into the applied force here, so you have a little bit more range on that telekinesis, and the rotations have been happening. Like, this is one of the maps that is, it's probably like the map. That was fast. Okay, so maybe Dehaka doesn't win against Alarak per se, but if then all of a sudden you have a badass Vala on a money pick riding into battle, then you know that your time has come. And apparently Alarak got that memo a bit late, so he is dead. Yeah, so that was actually a really good kill against them. So first kill, first blood goes straight to the team in blue, 2Bs determined. So Ice Cream taking over at the bot lane for a bit, but that of course stops the rotation for some time. And one of the things that happens with the rotations is that Khaldor gets a very good shot at getting a few more stacks in. Right now he has only 4, so he would love to have a couple of additional ones there. If you dominate the rotation and have your more of like a solid position against that, then you can just like get a few more in. So you have to be much careful with your positioning. So Neon is all the way farther in the back. Tries to hit another one, is able to get 2 more stacks at this point, and a couple of block stacks here as well, thanks to Mopsio, of course. But right now, the teams are just basically trying to get their wave clear. And with wave clear, we have an adjustment in the build on Chen, because he does not go for any kind of flying talents or other shenanigans. We see him with a Ring of Fire. So it's basically like his early version of going into the Burning Rage there, going into a bit of Malaysian style, and having more wave clear on the top lane. So it's an interesting setup that we're actually seeing for them. And keep in mind that Benny at the bot lane might get the wave clear and everything, but he has also a setup in which he, in theory, can always try to set up a gank. And well, Mopsio is already eating a bit of damage here, but the rest of the team is ready to help him out, and therefore he's quite safe. Whereas Chen has a problem. Yeah, but he still has a flying kick up, so he could just simply flip over. You don't just simply kill a Chen. That just doesn't happen. You might be able to kill him every now and then, but yeah, good old Chen, he's a survivor. He's a real panda. He's a badass. Okay, so, like jokes aside, with the 10-min strike we have now, the heavy burden taken, so that's exactly what we've been talking about during the draft. It's just like the focus that Sefkaja always has to try and make a couple of plays, pushing someone in the wall, get the extra slow in, and just isolate them. Of course, Tassadar going into the Leeching Plasma. You're going to see those shields kicking in fairly soon. I suppose there is actually, and I wouldn't say this was any other team, with AD-RD, there is a chance that we're going to see a Mule. They've played it before. I personally do not think it will be the case, but I have seen it happen. So normally when you pick Tassadar, you want to go into the pre-shields, of course, but I have seen AD-RD with a pretty big focus on getting Mules on several heroes, just so they get value on maps like this or Sky Template. But we would still expect, of course, Colors of Place to come in. For now, though, the rotations are still happening. It's all about the first turn-in right now, trying to get a little bit of a snowball happening with this. The aggression at the bot lane did not result in a kill this time. We're having for Khaldor the improved life tap, 13 stacks right now on the side of Neon. And besides that, Sefkaja is just still trying to open up a bit of space for especially Mopsio to turn in. But Alarak has fallen at that bot lane, so apparently moving out a little bit too much while everybody else was going up to the top. Tassadar is taking Kala's Embrace, but the Red Web Weavers are now descending first. Alarak needs to make his way back into the game to make it a 5 versus 5, but they have the potential to now start taking some of those structures down. And we also see on Chen the Brewmaster's balance gained. We're having the Constriction for the drag duration. Again, the Death Dealer for Vala, a little bit more auto attack damage. And the waves are getting pushed out right now. And with that, they start to focus onto the mid lane and try to make sure that the Web Weaver is going to fall there. Shen at the bot lane with the wave clear, we've been talking about it, especially with the Ring of Fire here. He's going to attempt to do the same thing, still facing off against Dehaka here. But the mid lane pressure is happening. Dehaka at the top lane himself has actually switched over. Shen at that bot lane right now with Alarak. That makes a little bit more sense. And a kill against Vala. Nice job. The Circus boys are starting to get really serious value here. It was their first kill and it couldn't have come at a better time. They get the pressure going in. They have now at the top lane Mopsio. Shouldn't really be able to do too much here. But if they get a wall, that alone would already be great. Bad Benny moves back. Neon is moving in now too. Bam, fell flames to the face. And they can now simply try and get a couple of additional corruption stacks. But they don't really have that massive lead. I expected them to have a bit of a bigger lead after taking down the walls. They couldn't take a fort though. And they will head into an early level 10 if nothing else happens. But we're still looking at a situation in which the blue team is in a fairly decent spot. And they get their, or about to get their own turn in here. Oh, actually they want to get Alarak first, and they will. Yeah. Baited and taken out like trash. That's what happened there. Boom. So he's taken apart. There's the turn-in. Blue Web Weavers coming into play, and in experience, they're not even. They are looking really strong. Again, the bees on the move with Lady with her serpent build. Little panda. But the wave clear on the heroes is really working out. Dehaka's just shredding everything here. Mopsio can slide all day he wants, but that's not going to do anything at this point. So, up to the top lane. Force wall. Ah, nice. An attempt that's unfortunately for them failed, but good escape here by the Russian Circus. Now it's the poke though. Neon is going to get a fair amount of stacks to this, so at least he should get some stacks in on his corruption. He's currently waiting for that. Fell Flames galore, just trying to burst down those Web Weavers. Lily is in the mid lane, the Hawk at the bot lane is still fighting over there. Survivability for him still working. And Vala needs to be slightly careful. The wall is still in play, but they don't really get much more than the tower. Experience is the same, and at the bot lane the value is definitely a little bit more transparent. Storm, Earth and Fire has been taken, the Jugs for Lily going into the heals, whereas we're seeing Counter-Strike for Alarok, and everyone else starting to roam back down. Isolation for the Haka. Vala needs to be a bit careful here. She's of course one of the priority targets. And let's not forget that we have stage dive again, so he's going to try and jump into the back. But the walls have been destroyed on all lanes, basically. So that's the big win. And this fountain is also going to drop. But both of the teams are... I want to say that we see quite a bit of respect. I mean, we have 4 kills right now. We're still early in the game. This is the first game of the best of 3 series here in the final. But it's not all that much aggression as you would usually see from these two teams. I mean, they both have a bit of a reputation to be highly aggressive. So the rotation up at the top, that Benny could actually even try and... Nah, sneak a turn in right now would be way too risky. This, on the other hand, is also getting a bit risky. Mopsio... If they place a decent wall down there... Okay. Whoa! Okay, mate! Yeah, that's something that I didn't see coming. And it looks very much like the Beast didn't see it come either. That's a boss. 8 minutes and 30. Just simply sneaking that in. They just got a boss, and this is the moment when ADRD and his boys are just looking at the map and just like, wait, what? Boss? They were probably expecting a trap to be set against them, but they did not really expect the boss to go down. And it's at the time when the blue Web Weavers are moving in. So, I mean, this is more or less negating a turn-in. That is going to be fairly weird. So, the Web Weavers are at the top, they're not going to do too much, but Benny is going to try and deep push that. Very likely to maybe, well, it's not really going to kill it, but it's going to get it low. And in the meantime, the ETC jumps into the mid lane. Vala dashes away. There's the heal. They're trying to go for it. The Pandas are really low, but so is Mopsio. The Aegis saves him. And now it's still a 5 versus 4, but no kills have been gotten down here. Down to the bot lane, a fort is eliminated. Level 13 talents are in place. The Web Weaver just continues to push through. And at the top lane, Bad Benny is starting to apply pressure to the next fort. They also have a touch of honey right now. The Surging Winds with the ability power. And Lydia deviated only once from her usually build with the Mending or with the Serpents and went straight into a cleanse against the stuns that they of course have here. That's the third fort that they take, and they really snowball that despite the boss being there. The Web Weavers did so much more damage than I thought it possible for them to do with the setup that they had with that boss being taken. So right now we also have Vala going into the Seething Hatred, which is going to make it way easier for her to get her Hatred stacks together. And we have also, of course, a Rain of Vengeance, and I mean, on level 13, you're taking Seething Hatred, you can still go into the Frost Shot on 16 if you really want to have the added value here. But yeah, let me just see how much he's going to commit to that. So the setup overall is really solid for them. We'd like them to take the walls down here still, but they don't want to waste any time. It's pretty transparent that they're going to go for the bot lane Siege Giants, but still without the level 13 talent, you can't make a move to anyways. Just now dropped, so they couldn't really move out before that. It's still 62 gems that we have for the Russian Circus, but TBD is looking solid here. We took Siege Giants at the bot lane, which eventually are going to pressure the keep if not taken care of. We have 16 versus 6, sorry, it's 13 versus 30 now with the Encore. And there's the Piercing Lash. So that's a pretty cool one for Sefka to maybe make a few plays here. Alright. The Haka at the bot, ETC2, again, stage dive. That's where you want to try and see where you can make a play. All the forts are still there, every single one for them. They can get an easy D-push here, but it's about the turn-in. It's the turn-in that really matters. You have 71 gems, you want to turn in. And you want to make that happen. The problem is that Bad Benny right now, oh my god, was trying to escape. Can't though. Dodges for a moment. Will most likely get a shield here. There's the heal, barely in range. He's actually still alive. He's going to die eventually, but maybe they get a counter kill. Turns out they don't. But that was much, much closer than expected. I mean, he looked dead in the waters already, and they nearly saved him. So, yeah. Well, Lily at first couldn't even reach him properly. That was another problem that they had here, which was a bit far out. Now we have a level lead still, interrupt attempts on the side of TBD, but this should be a Web Weaver wave for the red team. They zone completely for Power of Dream. Everybody is just like pressuring the opponent back. TBD can't get close enough. The Bees back off for now, and they have to deal with that Web Weaver wave. And it's going to result in a lot of dead structures. A lot of them are going to be taken out, but they want to get a kill. ETC! And the kill against Chen. No ult for him. This is perfect for the Circus. Oh my god, it gets better. They get Vala as well. Now, that is a bit crazy. So, let's see. Vala actually with this has... Oh, my bad actually. Sorry guys. Just... I'm kind of switching my talents up right now. My apologies. 13 is of course a Tempered by Discipline. So you had either the choice to go into Gloom or the Tempered by Discipline on 13, and then the Seething Hatred or Manticore if you want to continue with the auto attack build would be the level 16 talent, where they chose to go straight into the Frost Shot. So yeah, sorry for that. Having a little bit more lane sustain here, a little bit for heals. We have a double support already, but there's not really too much where Gloom would make a lot of sense. If you play against something like a Jaina or you go up against Healing, then of course it's a bit different. But for now we have still Frost Shot taken as expected. The synergy that you have also with the punishment is quite nice. So you get a lot of massive damage out there with it. But they lost quite a bit of ground now. They were way ahead, now they are behind in experience. They're going to lose the fort at the bot lane too. It was really just not only the death of the Haka, but then that they lost afterwards 2 more heroes with Chen and Vala. That was a massive, massive problem. Up to the top now, we have to just like de-pushing the lanes, pushing them out a little bit, so that it's also not so easy to get the push in there. In terms of gems, they are still looking good. The problem is that we have exactly 61 gems, and that's another turn-in. And they get it. Yep, there we go. So, this Web Weaver wave can theoretically get keep, especially in the mid lane. So they're going to try and see if they can maybe force a fight. The Serpent sidekick has now also been taken and completes the Serpent build, which is still being played here. We have Bad Benny at the top, just like double checking, but the Web Weavers are traveling in right now. And they can't really make a play against ETC, there's nobody else around, they are just trying to defend the mid lane. Already mating the Web Weavers a little at the top and at the bottom just to like push them out a little bit, but they have to get the rest in here to help this out. Because, to be absolutely honest, they won't save this. Chen dying would be a problem, to say the least. Oh my... Get wrecked, son! Oh, full on the head of Chen, and down he goes. That's the kill against Vala. Guys, this is looking very much like we are going to see a 1-0 for the Circus. They are heavily pushing through this. Chen getting hit by Arak this hard and then eating the entire damage. ETC jumping on top of him just as he's trying to survive is too much. Mopsio is still alive and Sefkaja just heals everyone up. This is a game. Great play by the Circus. They take the 1-0 lead in the best of 3 series here against 2 Beast Determines. GG. Well played. Okay guys, game number 2, after we saw the last game end with basically ETC giving Chen a headshot, full in the face, and down he goes, and that ending the game, and now all of a sudden the Russian Circus being 1-0 against the Bees, we have now our second map, a Braxis Holdout, also known as Brexit. We... okay, apparently TVD is done with the ETC, they're like, alright, screw that. That guy jumping into our backline, nah, let's leave that. So, again, we have a ban on Murky, aka Variant. So Variant sees basically a ban in nearly every single game against TBD. Since they started to stack those stuns earlier and get that drop in, we have right now bans against that. Again, if you haven't really watched anything so far, basically they ban Murky because the draft tool right now doesn't support Variant, and therefore Murky is the placeholder for Variant. The fish didn't all of a sudden get so much attention, or the frog, that, that's, you need to ban him out. That's not really happening. Okay, but we have our first double pick. Malfurion is already taken, and we could see something. I actually think as a tank, Johanna is going to see quite a bit of priority here again. I suppose we're going to see a high priority on Gul'dan. Johanna. I wouldn't be surprised to see Gul'dan in the slightest, or Avala. And besides that, you still have to think about that top lane, where we can see a Thrall, maybe again Misha. Tychus, okay, yeah. Right, Russian Circus picks Tychus usually. But now we're coming into play for TBD, and they already have Malfurion. So Gul'dan, Vala are good options for them. We can see them with a top laner. For top laner, the heroes that really are likely is Chen, Alarak, Thrall, that Rexa. We've seen Rexa play quite a bit on Brax's holdout because it's quite easy for you with Misha to hold the spot, even though in the games that we've seen today, Rexa hasn't really made an appearance, neither as a pick nor as a ban. But Malfurion usually wants to combo off with someone that is cooldown reliant to a certain extent at least. Multi-shot is, for example, one of the tools. Yeah, Limming with the orb. Or you go for like Gul'dan with corruption. TBD going into one of these like, we are going to survive everything combos though. And we have a Zarya here. So that's going to be the setup for the bot lane and the Chen for the top lane. Okay, so they're going to play the Chen again. Basically just Blade saying, you know what? I kind of sucked last game. I want to do a better job here. Not that he really like necessarily sucked in the last game, but it was just like funny to see how it ended and him getting like stomped into the ground by the ETC stage staff. That was kind of funny to watch. But yeah, they kind of concluded that game, and I think this time he's going to be like, okay, I'm going to show you how it's done. We're going to have a rematch here. They banned out ETC already, but besides that, it can be the tank versus tank setup once more. So with the bans coming in, you already have the top laner secured for TBD, so it's more about like damage reduction, I suppose. You are going to ban out, if you pick Gul'dan, if you don't pick Gul'dan, you ban him, I think. And if not, I would probably ban Vala. It's a lot about wave clear. It's a lot about taking wave clear away from your opponent. If you, or Sylvanas even. I mean, there's a couple of like things that you can do. Either you say, hey, we want to have the better, Hammer. I think they've played Hammer once before. Hammer can actually siege out very nicely here. I didn't even remember that they played that before. But that leaves a lot of wave clear still on the board. Not only Sylvanas to snowball waves, but also Vala, who on this map still has a lot of value because that multi-shot, especially paired with Arsenal, can still poke those waves down very, very nicely. And also, of course, like get your push going. With Malfurion, with Malfurion, even more so. That wasn't that hard. That's our top laner. Going for the Alarak again? Yeah, Chen versus Alarak is going to be our top lane, I suppose. Okay, so we need a heal. I guess we could see Oriel again. They played her a lot, but they prioritize Gul'dan. I don't see any problem with that. I really think if they don't take him here, TBD will. So pick your damage now. If you want to have Gul'dan, this is your time. Yep, there we have it. Last pick should be Oriel. I'm pretty sure. This is what Sefkaja has been played so far the entire time. TBD, they have Vala available. There's Li Ming still out there. Li Ming might not really have the amount of wave clear that they want to look for. The Jaina for... Jaina is actually interesting. In the last setup that they played, Jaina made more sense because they wanted to... they locked heroes down. But I'm not sure if they get as much value out of her here as in the games before. Uchiha Samara, thank you very much for the resub. Cheers, buddy. I mean, Jaina still gets value with wave clear, don't get me wrong, but like they... Oh, nah. Really? That would shock me. They're not gonna... Okay, they're trolling around a little bit. That would have shocked me. The Jaina, on the other hand, would make sense in the way that... I mean, she still gets value, don't get me wrong. It's not like the pick is useless or anything. But in the last time when we saw them play it on this map, they were committing heavily to a build that was dedicated to locking targets down and blow them away with the Jaina damage. And they don't have that right now. Wow, and they actually go for Tyrael. Holy smokes. And then a Jaina with a cooldown based damage as that would be interesting. Huh. I mean, she has with Blizzard really nice wave clear, of course, as well. Against the Zerg waves right now. Against the normal one, you have that too. But against the Zerg waves, it also does a fair amount of work. No sustainable, like, auto attack damage or anything like that. And guys, we still haven't seen Forza being played today. Just saying. So that is an interesting part. That's the Oriel. The surprise! Nobody saw that coming, right? Has Sefkaja played another hero than Oriel today? I think he has. He played a couple of Malfurions, right? Dragonchild was Malfurion. but he focused on Oriel whenever he couldn't get his hands on the old geezer with the arthritis. Have you ever looked in Malfurion when you're like in a quick match loading screen? It's like 10,000 years. He looks not dangerous at all. He looks like old guy that's about to like drop and die. So there's the Oriel. I like the setup. I like it for the Russian Circus a lot. I mean, it's very traditional and standard what they played before. TBD with a heavy focus on melee and like tank. AD RD on Zarya, of course, is usually very good when it comes to the damage output. But that Tyrael, in addition to Zarya plus Chen, didn't really see that coming. There's a lot of shields that they have available to themselves. Malfurion for the heal, Zarya with the barriers. Then they have Tyrael on top of the shields too. It's an interesting setup for sure. I'm actually very curious to see how that's going to work out for them. They are behind in the series, so keep that in mind. Brax's Holdout is the map, and we're going to jump in for game number 2 at the ZOTAC Monthly Final, Grand Final. See you guys on Brax's Holdout. Game number 2, everybody, and well, we had another hero switch. It makes it a little bit difficult to actually analyze these drafts when in the end it turns out that they picked a different hero and simply misclicked in draft, or what exactly happened there. So I'm not 100% certain, but as it turns out, there wasn't a Tyrael. We have a Rek'Sai in the game. So we have still a pretty heavy front line, but we have Blade now on Chen. We see Nick on Jaina. Bad Benny, instead of the Tyrael, is playing Rek'Sai, so he will have the top lane, not Chen as originally expected. And Curson is now playing Malfurion, and we have AD RD as still stays true on Zarya. And to the right side for the Russian Circus, we have in this case, actually the lead is of course for the opponent's team, so I'm going to change that real quickly. Mopsy on Johanna, Sefka on Oriel, Power of Dream on Alarak, and Sir Ice Cream on Tychus with Neon on Gul'dan. So yeah, screw what I just said about like the top lane. It's actually Blade still on the Chen that holds top lane, where we have 4 heroes waiting. They're switching it around. Top lane is now the 4-man lane, and bot lane is the solo lane. And they will just like try and use down here Misha together with Rek'Sai. So a little bit of like pressure there. Pressure play up at the top. They have a bit more that they can offer in this case. And yeah, that tower is definitely dead in the waters. Immediate rotation up to the top, but it's very likely that both towers are even going to fall. They don't want to risk getting caught here, and they move back immediately. So it's actually like a bit of a play that allows them to get a bit of an early lead here, thanks to that one tower that they were able to drop. Besides that, we're seeing, of course, the Echoed Corruption once again on good old Gul'dan down to the bot lane. The battle is now happening on the solo lane with Rek'Sai and with Power of Dream, but Blade is moving in at this point, and it's just like trying to put a pressure on Alarak. So it's a 2-for-1 that Benny can rotate up to the top, but at this point we can still see a little bit of poke and a small dominance for the Russian Circus. So the boys have been pretty aggressive with their moves so far. Ayard again with the Demolitionist Expert. We have Hunter-Gatherer taken for Rek'Sai, and the Moonburn together with the start of the machine gun build for Jaina, which is the main range damage that we are seeing on the side of the Beast Determined. And I'm not quite sure if they really expect to fall behind in this, but the Russian Circus has proved to be a pretty strong opponent. They have still a couple of moments where you can say that they are maybe overly aggressive and a little bit too far out, but overall they do very well here. Yeah, currently it's just like trying to also dominate the health globes that you get up at the top. And now we have the beacons come into play, where of course Misha is going to play a huge role, since for her it's going to be very, very easy to just like stand on that point, whereas the rest of the team just pokes from a distance. Especially since now they're not really as melee focused anymore as they were before, since they have with Rek'Sai someone who has more damage from the backline, in addition to only Jaina. So 32 points already in the progress bar, especially thanks to Power of Dream doing his work down there. But Alarak and Chen are still fighting, and so far Power of Dream is actually starting to realize that this is not going to be as easy as he was hoping for. So we have Nick taking this one over. Good silence and tower shots against Chen though. And at the top lane, they have to fight now. It's a 4 versus 3 actually. If you count Misha, it's a 4 versus 4. So now all of a sudden the points are being racked up here. And that is already 38% on that progress bar. So apparently it's a full focus on the objective that we have from the Bees. 52% locked in. Laws of Hope now ready for Johanna. The machine gun builds continue. The Loon's Grace. 15 stacks, by the way, on Gul'dan. 15 stacks already. So pretty fair amount that they can rely upon right now. Sefka should just basically take it, telling Misha, get the fuck out of my beacon. We are late at night in Europe, so this is out right now. Pardon my French. GTFO. Okay, so bot lane, Still that battle. Look, Nick is always helping out. Nick wants to kill, and they are going to get Alarak right now, aren't they? Yeah. They get Alarak, but it's always the rotation, always them moving in with a second. 84% against 52. So apparently Blade is really struggling to hold that point alone against Alarak, which is why we're seeing Nick moving in every single time. And now we have this one to the top lane reclaimed. And yeah, Gul'dan is stacking and stacking and stacking. He's at 18 right now. Misha counts, of course, in this case as well. Alarak needs to make his way down to the bot lane. And interestingly enough, they haven't really sent anybody down. So they're missing out on a bit of experience. And with the camp that was taken by Jaina earlier, that's added pressure against the bot lane. So this is starting to pressure the fort. Alarak still wants to make sure that he gets this back, but Nick is still in the vicinity. They're totally willing to give the one up at the top lane, because they're saying, hey, they can't really do a lot against us anyways without risking us flanking in from behind. Experience is nearly the same. So Alarak, the question, is he going to go for it again? That's a camp at the top. That's going to force Jaina up there eventually. Yeah, Jaina, on the other hand, is going to take this one first. So it's going to take the camp for the second time. But yeah, I kind of like it. It's a bit of a standstill that we have there. 3 versus 4 up at the top with Misha. It's pretty even. And they are poking in against this fort for now. But the bot lane is seeing a similar situation. Now Nick appears at the top. Sefkash is way too far out. Not sure what he was doing there. That's a kill. And now we have down at the bot lane a lot of pressure. Top should fall at this point. So it's going to be maybe an objective, an early one, in favor of TBD. Beacon is taken. Alarak against Blade, and Alarak is starting to have a problem here. So Ice Cream, on the other hand, already is taking this one back. Chen rushes away, is able to escape, saw the rotation, of course, coming, but now we have 90 points against 84. Doesn't really make a whole lot of difference right now in strength anymore on those, but yep, overall, we have, at this point, there's another one taken. Moving in immediately. Back there, Neon, so Ice Cream, Sefkaja, Power of Dream. They start to really... They change it up a little bit because they rotate differently. So they have now suddenly 4 heroes at the bot lane, and Mopso is the only one up at the top. They're starting to pressure this. The waves are coming in. It's a stronger one for the blue team. But again, they can't happen. Like, they get these kills right now, and that's something that the Circus has to definitely prevent if they want to make this work. 27 stacks on Gul'dan is going to try and get that wave cleared, but once again, Chen going deep. Yes, so Ice Cream can put the damage in, and a good grenade also shot right in there. But this is a fort, an easy one to take. Up at the top, Johanna is going to try and get some added value now too, but it leaves the lane to start moving down to the bot lane and help out, as now a keep is being threatened. And it's level 9 versus level 8 any second now. So yeah, Gul'dan just poking, 31 stacks. Alarak is back, Mopsio moves in, goes a little bit deep here even. Yeah, and tries to help out, especially of course against those Guardians in the back that are doing very much so a ton of damage against the structure. So take the waves down. Up at the top lane, we still had the defense happening. The fort didn't even take a whole lot of damage. I mean, the thing is like sitting pretty here. 10 any moment now. 1.5 level lead. And the Russian Circus has a problem. And a pretty big one at that. They can take a couple of camps there, but overall they need now 1.5 levels. And that is not going to be an easy feat by any means. So the bear is still there. Yeah, eats a little bit of damage. Rexa is a mean master, keeping Misha in that little brush there. I'm just like saying like, someone is dedicated to take that down. You don't kill Misha that easily. That is not happening. With level 10, we have the Pandas, Storm, Earth and Fire. We are seeing, first of all, Unleash the Boss, which is on Rexa actually these days a whole lot more popular. Ring of Frost and the Expulsion Zone. And there's the boss that is being attacked. They're posturing around a little bit. Yeah, but it's level 10 versus level 9. They are still willing to go and see if they can take a fight there. And decide to just back off. It's basically them saying, if we lose the fight, we're dead. The game is more or less over. And if we just let them have the boss, it's an early boss that we can defend. That's basically what just happened there. They said, like, guys, let's get 10. Let's don't risk anything. If we die, we have an issue. And yeah, Mopsid should take that to heart, because if he dies here, then yeah, you have it wrong. Expulsion Zone is being used. They try to get the damage in. Nearly full stacks, by the way, on the Corruption by Gul'dan. He's on 38 now. So he's going to get a bit more value out of that. Boss is starting to move in. And that boss with that range damage is very, very annoying. 39 stacks, one more and you got to go. And that's also when we have, again, the objective come into play. They are playing super safe. They know that there's probably a flank happening at this point. And that makes this really tricky. Yep, there's Blade jumping away already. Gul'dan looking for an opportunity. They go for the boss right now. They don't have 10 just yet. They know that, of course. They need to be very cautious here. Yeah, but already the beacon is taken. They need 10 and they need to go for the beacon fight immediately. Already at the bot lane, Nisha is starting to rotate in together with Rexa. And this is the battle that they cannot take yet. And the objective is pushing, and there's the 10, finally. Now they have to make something happen here. This is really the moment where you have to fight. If you lose this one and the another objective pushes through, you're very likely to lose your first keyboard game. And coming back after that is tricky. Yeah, Counter-Strike is being used, Aegis, but he's gonna fall. Yeah, Misha charges in and maws him. Down they go, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is a small disaster. It's 100% Zerg wave against barely anything. So now the top lane is getting completely crushed already as is. There's the wave, doesn't even have to deal with anything just yet, and they are just pushing through. They're gonna go for the wall here. Blade is low, but this is the beast completely destroying the circus right now. There's gonna be a bunch of sad clowns after this one. 13 talent. This is a 3-level lead. 3-level lead, level 13 talent. They are going to crush through that keep. I mean, the keep, it's not even a question if the keep is going to fall or not. It's a question if they get a few more kills and go for a core. That's what we're talking about right now. Counter-Strike again. Goodbye, power of Dreamo. Can they actually save him? Yes, they can. All right. They're going with the Obama mantra here. Mopsio, on the other hand, yeah, he is unsavable at this moment. He goes down. Neon is also dead. This could be game. Jaina falls. Well, that is a saving grace here for now. But with Alarak also biting the dust and still a few Guardians being around, this is looking more and more like they're going to see an intent for core here. They're starting to jump in. It's 10 minutes and 30 seconds. The death timers are really low. Keep that in mind. I actually don't think they can core. Can they? I mean, with the death timers this low, probably not. They're moving away. They got all their kills. They have still a 3-level advantage. The core is taking a little bit of damage thanks to the Guardians, so someone has to take care of that eventually. So it's not going to lose too much here. But look at Saiskim's hit points. He's again super, super low. They're going for Mopsio again. Apparently nobody sent him the memo that they would back. So Mopsio went deeper. And Mopsio is down. Again. This is 11 kills against 1. This is the reckoning. We're talking 4 versus 5, by the way, here. Jaina wasn't even there. She's coming now. There's still a Guardian around. He was hanging in the back, chilling a little bit. Taking it easy. Didn't really feel like attacking the core today. I can totally understand him. Sometimes you have just one of these days, you know. So, yeah, at this point, they're saying, like, guys, what do we kill next? This is basically the biggest question. They don't know what to kill at this point. So, yeah. Let's take the mid wall. Let's take that. Let's open up another way of attack. That sounds like a great idea. Okay, so they will have 16. It could happen that they have 16 before the Circus has the 13 talents. In terms of damage, I mean, yeah, Gul'dan. It's all about Gul'dan right now. I'm not sure, like, maybe with a good Horrify you can isolate someone. Maybe that works, but even that is a stretch. So, yeah, tricky. Again, I said it in the past, I can only say again, if at this point you have children watching, do them a favor, they are going to be scarred for life. If you don't tell them to leave the room right now and explain to them that this is not real, then they are going to be scarred for life. Like, don't blame me if they are spending half their life on a couch. Like, they will need therapy after this one. This is brutal. I mean, people would say it's savage because the Circus is getting wrecked. So this is just camp after camp taken. And yeah, there's the engage. Alright, Mopsio is getting a bit ballsy here. Like, he's saying, like, I got this. Oh, there's a Horrify, but yeah. Yeah, but no. Expulsions, oh no, my eyes. 1, 2, oh! Don't make it stop. Stop. Just stop, it hurts. It hurts so much. Neon is down too. They killed Jaina. They at least killed Jaina. I mean, someone should report Jaina for feeding because that's like the 2 kills that we saw there. So that's the camp barreling through the top lane already. Death timers are still so low, by the way, that Alarak will be back to defend, and so will be Johanna. But they are done with it. They're saying, like, guys, let's just end it. Let's be merciful here. Be merciful, overlords, and end it. The GG is called at this point. And yeah, they are just like chilling. That game is over. They know it too. We are at the end, my friends. It is game number 2, and yeah, TBD came back with a vengeance to force game number 3. Third game incoming at the ZOTAC Final. The last game was, let's call it one-sided. We saw a bit of a reckoning happening there with Russian Circus getting demolished. Again, they're banning out Varian. Sienna, thank you very much for the sub. Thanks a lot for that. Thanks for the support. But yeah, Varian's getting banned out again, represented here by Murky, since the draft tool does not accommodate for Varian yet. But the bees actually were angry. That wasn't even Wasp level anymore, that was Hornets. So yeah, the Hornets took them down. ETC banned out once more, and the Russian Circus here now on Dragonshire. Now Dragonshire is a map where we've actually seen the bees do really well lately. We had not really too many games, of course. It was a bit of a small sample size, but when they played at the HGC qualifier for 2017, they did extremely well there. So let's see how actually the Russian Circus is starting this off. Malfurion, alright, that's a good one already. Question again, do they commit to a very early Dehaka here? We've seen that before. If you value the global mobility that highly, you might do that. But there's also, of course, the combos with Malfurion where you can go into like the Gul'dan, you can go Luming, you can go Vala, and then really get value out for your Innovate. Malfurion is locked down, so we're gonna like keep those heroes in mind as we are heading over to the bees and see what they go with the double pick here. So for TBD, of course, starting into this, we have seen a lot of focus on Johanna. Mirrodin, of course, is still a pretty solid move here, but Johanna has become a lot more popular, and on Dragonshire, Wave Clear is also maybe not as important as on other maps, but it's still really fairly important if you want to get good access to the shrines and decent vision. Mirrodin, then again, has a lot of mobility here, can hop over those walls, so he can do that too. And say they start with the Tychus, which they more or less pick away from the Russian Circus, since they have been focused on that, and go straight into... is it going to be the Mirrodin? I mean, Mirrodin is never a bad choice. There's never been a game where you say, like, well, if they wouldn't have picked Mirrodin, that game would have been 100% a win. So Mirrodin always gets value. You always have the flexibility to make something happen. The only thing that he really lacks at a bit is Wave Clear. So, Mirrodin and Tychus, which leaves more or less Johanna for the Russian Circus, unless you want to go for a Tyrell composition, of course. That's something that you can still pull off. But I would not be surprised to see again, like a Gul'dan, a Vala, Liming, something along those lines, where they have access to just... there's that Dehaka that I mentioned before. That could actually result in us not even seeing a damage dealer just now. No, they go for the Vala, okay. So, Dehaka, there's two ways to play this again. Most of the time these days we see Dehaka top lane solo. But you can have Dehaka as part of the rotation in the middle and the bottom, have another solo lane up at the top, and then gank with Dehaka. It was, when Dehaka came out, like the way to play Dehaka. Right now, teams are moving away from that and having Dehaka with primal aggression mostly in the solo lane. Like Blizzard buffed that a couple of patches ago, so one of the reasons why Dehaka wasn't really seen as like a heavy solo laner was since he was still lacking a little bit of wave clear that he now has, which just puts him over the edge where he can do that. So we have Johanna banned out, since Dehaka is rarely a solo tank, and TBD is just simply realizing that Johanna would add the wave clear that they don't really want to deal with, since they don't have that yet on their tank. And yeah, the Tracer ban is smart. TBD has played Tracer on this map before, so banning that out makes sense. Nick plays a pretty mean Tracer, but we still need to see what exactly Blade is playing. So we have seen that range from like Chen to Alarak to... I would be okay with that. To Thrall. We have seen Butcher plays by TBD too. I mean, they've been teasing a lot with like the pre-picks, but they have been playing with Butcher in the past. And those are like these lockdown comps that they really like. Do you play a Butcher here though? You have Malfurion who has a cleanse available to him. Vala can go into the Rain of Vengeance, so she can stop that to a certain extent. I'm not quite sure if Butcher is really what you want to play here. I mean, if they play it, then maybe again with the Medivh. That's what I've seen in the past, I think. Butcher plus Medivh. and then you pick the healer and last. That's most likely going to be a Brightwing if they actually do that. And that would be nasty for sure. But there's definitely a bit of potential to counterplay that. The isolation on the Haka can also work against this. So I'm not quite sure if they actually tease us here with a pre-pick or if they lock that down. That would make more sense to me. Yeah, I like that more. Butcher, they've made it work in the past. When they did it mostly with Medivh. So I could see them pick Medivh and then maybe think about the Butcher later. Blade still needs the hero. And it seems like they actually want to do it. Greymane would work and would not be that one-trick pony style. That's the Medivh. Let's see if they actually commit to it. I actually think, like, if you consider picking the Butcher, you pick him last. You want to surprise your opponent. So there's the Brightwing Medivh. Those are the two that I basically predicted, especially when they were thinking about, like, playing maybe a Butcher. That was played before, because Medivh can, with the force of will, really have a huge impact on that. But let's just wait what the Russian Circus is doing. I think this is going to highly determine what's happening here. Ooh, the Jaina already, okay. On point damage. Medivh can actually negate a lot of that. Still no false start. Teams are not playing false start. Like, they don't play the bird anymore. At least not today. He got banned once. And this is a really good bird map. And in terms of tanks, I mean, what's going to be Tyrael? Oh, Stitches maybe? Hook, Root, Jaina, damage drop? Could that be the case? Nah, they go with the Tyrael. Alright. I mean, the only other choice, I feel, is Stitches. Am I missing someone? I guess Chen, but I don't really feel the Chen against this. I don't think he really adds enough. Tychus has a good target with the Chen in there. Doesn't have any kind of lockdown or something. So yeah, if not Tyrael, I would say they're gonna go into a Stitches, but... Alright, they lock him down. Okay, so Tyrael it is. Yeah, and now... the moment of truth. A little bit of banter, or are they actually committing to it? I mean, we still need a hero for Blade. So if Blade usually plays like the melee assassin style, it's a Carrigan. That's what he really loves to do. I would love to see his Carrigan right now. They have a solid one at that. I mean, what else? Again, the other one could be Thrall, top lane. I think so far it's mostly going to be... are they going to go for it? I mean, Medivh is with any comp is sick. They actually think about it. Yes. Fresh meat. The Butcher. Alright, so we are seeing a Butcher game, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's jump in. Dragonshire, our last map in the series. It's the third map. And let's find out which team is going to claim victory here. And also decides, of course, the grand final in their favor. To be determined, or the Russian Circus. Game number 3, everybody. The final map in the series. And we have fresh meat in the game. Blade on the Butcher, ADRD on Medivh, Nick on Tychus, Bad Benny on Muradin, and Kirsten on Brightwing. Especially Medivh is going to try and enable the Butcher in a lot of these fights right now, where they're going up against the Russian Circus with Sir Ice Cream on Vala. We have Mopsio on the Haka, Sefkaja on Malfurion, Power of Dream on Tyrael, and Jaina, played by Neon. And on level 1, the Chop Meat. So, the increased damage to minions and mercenaries, a bit of additional wave clear for the Butcher, played by Blade, of course. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, so let's see how exactly that's going to work out for them this time. The Butcher plays with Medivh is something that is extremely scary. All of a sudden there's that portal in your backline and you never know what exactly comes through there. So we have currently a bit of a trap set up. That has become a bit of a standard to set this trap up. Basically, if you start to rotate to the top and you don't take the safe route, you are going to be in trouble. So Mopsio is... Alright, someone has learned his lessons from previous games, takes a safe route through and just waits there and is not falling into a trap. Besides that, the rotation has started. Blade is in the mid lane. We have currently the stable portal taken on level 1 with increased duration. We're seeing stacking happening for Muradin, who goes straight into the perfect storm. And we have, on top of that, the lingering chill now. Up to the top lane, a bit of a skirmish happening here. AD is going to be super annoying on that mid even, especially after he has the Master's Touch on the level 7 talent. He is going to become quite a nuisance and put a lot of damage out here overall. So yeah, already a bit of a trap here happening with Bad Benny moving in again. The charge, and they go immediately for Jaina. And she has absolutely no chance of escaping. But Blade is also falling, so it's a counter kill. They're like, well, you might be able to get a kill here, but we go in with the Haka. So nice move. Immediately going for the Berserker here, making sure that we have Mopsio paying them back in kind. At this point, actually, even giving Medivh a little bit of trouble and zoning him out from the portal for a second too to put the extra damage in. So it's a kill for a kill, starting off this last map in the ZOTAC Monthly Final. Stormbolt missing, no stack points here on the damage for Bad Benny. Curson on the point, and now Neon and Sir Ice Cream moving in. They're trying to go for Muradin, but they won't be able to secure that just yet. With the Haka up at the top lane, they have control over both of the shrines right now, though. And they immediately move into the mid lane. It will be a super early Dragon Knight if they can make that happen. The question is, of course, can Mopsio hold this long enough? And AD has already taken over control. But we still see a move against Sefkash, and now Fjorn is down. And this time we might not see the kill. Yeah, there goes Blade again. Blade! And he's dead. Blade is down. This is like really cool game so far. Mopsio is nearly falling, but so is Bad Benny, and he actually might still die. Yeah! Sniped by Neon. Guys, this is actually starting to become a super fun game here. Both of the teams hyper aggressive on the map right now, especially of course with the Haka using his global mobility to set up these traps the entire time. Curson going for the second shrine now in favor of the team in blue. Tubi's determined, making a play for the Dragon Knight and getting it actually. Yep, the root is too late. Like, even an auto attack would have been better than that. 2 minutes, 3 minutes in, we have a DK on the side of the bees. The Butcher with unrelenting pursuit taken here. So, yeah, cooldown reduction for him. Upon impact, of course. So, trying to get that in maybe like in the second time than later. Punishment here. The Dragon Knight so far hasn't really gotten a whole lot of value. But, of course, getting that takes a bit of pressure off. And you can make punts like this. Not quite in the opponent's backline though, but again, this setup with the Haka. They get so much the Haka value. They lose experience at the top lane a bit though, and that is a bit of an issue. But overall, Mopsio is doing really well here, and getting these kills in was a pretty big deal. So, yeah, getting also one of those panic buttons being used, but of course you can still drop that essence, which is exactly what he does. But in experience, the teams are still fairly similar. Mopsio going too deep, having a big problem here right now, and this is most likely going to result in his death. He's trying to escape right now, consuming the last few essence that he has, and the heal is there. Oh my god! This is AD already blown to pieces. I didn't even see the rotation on the minimap. I was so focused on Mopsio struggle to survive that eluded me completely. But they say that it's 5 kills against 2 guys. TBD is in a bit of trouble. Meat Shield now taken. It's all about the Ruthless Onslaught here on the side of Blade's Butcher build right now, but that is getting a bit crazy. Even with the Dragon Knight that was capped this super early in the game, we're now having a lead in experience, even though it's tiny, for the Russian Circus. They're playing a solid game here, and they're actually going straight for one of the camps to also make sure that the top lane is pressured in a little bit more heavily. And allows, especially of course Mopsio, to roam even more freely on the map here and make his plays. Level 7 talents now with Bad Benny. Double checking here the camp, but we have Death Dealer again, which becomes more of a standard on Vala actually. And besides that, also the amplified healing on Tyrael, who finds himself in a bit of a main tank role, and cast into that, he wants to make sure that he has a little bit more sustain and survivability. The cleanse is ready on both sides, by the way. Super important now, of course. First of all, against Mopsio's drag, and at the same time also for Malfurion to counteract some of these ruthless onslaughts that we've seen so far. But we have them starting to play around again. Now keep these portals in mind. They're gonna play a huge role, especially later on. Level 10 is of course gonna be a bit of another game changer. Once their rogue ability comes in, this is going to get kinda nasty. We have also now still stacks with 6 on Master's Touch, but here come these portals. And just the threat of having that in your backline is always annoying. So yeah, top lane, Mopsio is just like playing a bitter game of chicken. Bad Benny is looking at that, waiting for him to move in. He hasn't seen him yet, so now jumps in, gets the stun. Blade wants the Ruthless Onslaught, and is not just in range. So they're not really committing to a kill. Wouldn't really have been able to jump in for that just yet anyways. Bot lane pressure is still solid. Level 10 is ready. Yeah, good root against Kirsten. You're not going to be able to kill him yet. But still, there's the Rain of Vengeance as expected. It's a good show. It's a good stopper against the Butcher when he starts to move in. If you drop a couple of Rain of Vengeance on him, even after impact, that can be a real huge problem. Leyline Seal has been chosen. The Lamb to the Slaughter can be cleansed out, of course, as well. Silence from Malfurion, another big tool for them. And also, let's not forget about the Ring of Frost. Once again, Mopsio missing the drag here, trying to set a play up against the Butcher and dropping Blade again. Down to the bot lane, Malfurion is very much alone against Tychus. Not really a battle that he can win. He can only stall for a bit longer and wait for someone to make a rotation there. Could see Dehaka try and go up to the top lane. Not just yet. Battle at the bottom. Sanctification already on the ground. Here comes the Odin. In comes Bad Benny, trying to lock them down under the ground. Neon is about to die. If you lose someone, then, well, it should be Jaina, a damage dealer. If you want to lose somebody, it's Tyrael, so that he can get some value out there. Mopsio, barely getting away, and the kill against Muradin. The entire time is just kill for a kill for a kill. Power of Dream wants the point. The Butcher moves back in. Dehaka is at the top, vault forward, but it's Malfurion who dies. Malfurion is dead. Dehaka takes the shrine. This is back and forth the entire time. These guys are getting a little bit crazy on the kill count. 10 kills, 7 minutes into the game. 6 versus 4. Currently in favor of the team in red, aka the Russian Circus. Damage output here, Taike is looking really strong. The Butcher, of course, mostly about the stuns and really putting pressure on moving in there. Whereas we have Vala together with Jaina taking the damage on the side of the red. Not actually that quite. Jaina actually didn't really play that much of a role in the damage output yet. She has a lot of wave play on her part, but didn't really commit a whole lot to the hero kills yet. Died 2 times, which is another bit of an obstacle there. So they're going in again, starting to see what they can pull off here. Oh, but Zefkaja is in trouble. Neon, there's a silence. Brightwing down, but also a kill against Vala. That's a lot of the damage gone, but the Ring of Frost is on the ground, and they're attempting to go for another kill against Muradin, and they get it. Muradin is dead. So it's a 2-for-1 trade. And they aim for another approach to get a Dragonite. In the middle, Mopsio is still fighting against Blade. Yeah, Neon is there. Blade cannot get away. There's no escape for him. But a good shield from ADRD. But he dies before he can escape. Leyline Seal was dropped in an attempt to save him. That didn't work out. So now we have another hero dead. And it's level 13 as well with additional talent. We're having them not far ahead in experience, but there is a slight lead. Shrink Ray now being used against the Butcher. Definitely a bit of a counter build that we are seeing on Malfurion. Swift Pursuit. Yeah, the Haka at the top. Brightwing going in, trying to turn into a 3 versus 1. Mopsio pushed out by the Emerald Wind. Dodging a lot here, but won't be able to dodge enough, or will he? He's still alive and is still going in. There comes the Rain of Vengeance, and they escape via portal. Gotta love Medivh plays. Like, Medivh in games, if you have a decent Medivh player, are so much fun. And he just shows why. They try to go for the Dragonite. They could sanct it, actually, if they wanted to. But they're not going to do it just yet. Here comes Igana Onslaught! Zefka! And he's dead. Completely taken down here by Medivh in this case. They could have sancted the Dragonite. They could have used Sanctification here and simply just capped the Dragonite. But they didn't. Level 30 intelligence now with a savage charge. But they go for Bad Benny once more. He's going to try and jump away. Up at the top lane we have the Butcher, but that all of a sudden exposes Tychus. Nick is low, but not low enough for them to capitalize on it with another kill. Even heals are now being taken on the side of Vala, which you don't see all that often. Siphoning Arrow now taken over going into Gloom, or simply adding the other thingy. The Tempered by Discipline, sorry. Quickening for the portal cooldowns. 24 stacks on the 25 on the Master's Touch. Needs another 5. Yeah, the Haka is starting to move in too. There's still a bit of a split happening here. The Haka is in the middle. Bad Benny starts the rotation. They're both on nearly even experience. This game is awesome. This is really something. Both of the teams just looking for kills the entire time, and they find one again, don't they? Trying to escape, and the silence is in, and they... Oh no, he actually got away! Bad Benny is able to escape. There was a big ult that got used here. Lamb to the slaughter, now also on the ground, gets cleansed out, and 6 versus 9 kills still. 15 kills in 11 minutes, and there could have been a lot more happening. Cams are now taken. They are busy the entire time, and I love how Mopsio is utilizing the Haka to his fullest extent. Like, they get massive value out of the globals at this point. He's all over the place. Bot lane, mid lane, top lane. Wherever he's needed, just moving in, trying to get that drag in, try to get that isolation kill. Really well done. 30 stacks completed for Medivh now. Yeah, the kill against Malfurion. Really rough game so far for Sefkaja. He's always getting targeted here. Him and Jaina. He's actually pausing the game. Might have had a bit of a problem there. I mean, he died a few times already before that, but this one looked slightly weird. I didn't really react too much. We're having also now 15 stacks on the Stormbolt. And I mean, this is not really too much damage just yet, but it's starting to add up. 75 extra. So a little bit more for the quick snipe against the target. Shield dust now taken. Haven't really talked about all of those builds just yet. But overall, let's see. Now, I've currently Jaina still on level 4 with the Arcane Intellect. It's basically heading back to the old school build that we had like back in the day. Arcane Intellect was always a level 4 talent, so you get a little bit of mana back and could make sure that you have more sustain on the lanes. We're seeing the ice flows now. This is not really the talent that you would normally expect on her. It's definitely something that you don't usually see here. So try doubling the AoE a little bit. That definitely is going to help them during a few of these fights as well, especially with that broadband approach that we see there. But in terms of damage numbers, just to give you a bit of a heads up on that, look at Medivh right now. It's on 23,000, so he's already pushing out the second highest numbers in the game right now. He just completed his quest talent with the Master's Touch. So his damage output from this point on is just going to rise exponentially. He's going to do a whole lot of work, and that's what ADRD usually does. He gets really good numbers in. The main damage dealer is still Tychus, which doesn't come as a surprise. Sefkaja needs to be a bit more careful with his positioning, I assume, because he is getting targeted a lot. 21,000 heals roughly on the numbers of Brightwing. We have in terms of damage output, Jaina starting to really get the damage out there. I mean, compared to what we saw before, when she couldn't even come close to what Vala was able to put on the board. But right now we're having Vala on 24,000, her on 20, so that's not really too bad. The 16 talents are now coming in as well. And we have another potential, well, I don't want to say potential Dragonite, because yes, we've seen again both shrines for a short period of time under the control of the Russian Circus, but we usually don't really see something following. We had that super early Dragonite, which I guess was a bit more of a mistake. Sefkaja dropping the roots down, hoping for an immediate interrupt, which didn't happen. I guess with the Moonfire, it would have been much nicer. Wanted a little bit too much, wanted to like, get the lockdown to get the kill there. But now it's 16 versus 16, and that's why we have Enrage now coming into play as well. And more stuns. Heavy Impact, never a bad choice. So yeah, Titan Grenade and the Reabsorption. But that's not the only heroes where we see talents like this. Look at that talent, Manticore now. Even more damage output for them. And we have on top of it the Numbing Blast and the Holy Ground. But the setup is already starting. Like, we're going to see another big fight there. Ruthless Onslaught any second. They're going for the backline again, but this time he has to stop it actually. Well done. Stops that. So yes, so far the situation is calming down a little bit, but we have a camp pushing at the top lane, and that is a big, big issue. So right now the Russian Circus, they need a win down here. If they don't get that, it's a problem. Again, the Lamb to the slaughter, immediately starting to use their own tools. Ring of Frost is good this time. Great save, Leyline Seal. Uh-oh. Leyline Seal is in. Good push, and a double kill as we see Tyrael and Malfurion die. Great positioning by Brightwing. Explodes right onto the Butcher and drops him, but Mopsio is most likely going to fall too. Brightwing survives just barely, but Curson is still surviving, and yeah, that is a 4 versus 2 on the map right now, which should result in a Dragonite. And let's look at that 4 top here. The camp gets value, and a lot of it. This game is starting to definitely shift in favor of 2B's determined. 10 kills against 10 kills. 20 kills, 14 minutes in the match. Dragonite number 2 as they're starting to move in. 18 stacks by now on the Dragonite, sorry, not on the Dragonite, but Muradin, of course. And the little dwarf is once again the one to take the statue and move in. So this is going to cost them another 4. This is number 2 that's going to fall here. And Neon's boys, they need some solid victories right now. The last battle wasn't too bad, but like, oh boy, that ley line seal that we saw there, that was sick. That was actually quite something. Now Neon at the bot lane is a little bit exposed here, and ADRD is just trying to put even more pressure on him. He has to either get healed or get a quick tap at the fountain, but either way, he needs to move back out of this one because he's way too low. But right now, the fort is down, they can safely retreat. There's nothing to save here anymore. And yeah, they just need to poke at the Dragonite as much as they can, trying to get that down. But the setup is actually, I mean, they did a lot with the setup, but right now, oh, nice. Good drag, good root, and a lot of hit points lost, so the keep won't be pressured, but the wall is falling. So with all of this going, like, we need to see if they can maybe make a bit of a play. I really like the setup that we saw for the TPD. I mean, Leyline Seal first and the positioning of Curse and the Emerald Wind pushing them into the fort. That's basically what started the entire snowball, the double kill that we had there. So now it's a 1.5 level lead that we have for TPD. And they have all the forts taken on the map. Only the keeps are remaining. So with this being said, we need to have a team victory, I would say, for the Russian Circus if you want to come back into it. With the Butcher play that we had so far, Blade is doing very, very well here, getting a lot of damage in right now. I mean, on the single targets, of course. I mean, it's always a little bit different if you're talking single target damage or if someone like Tychus, who has just like a complete range of spray, can get the Titan Grenade in there, or if you have a Vala that simply multi-shots everything. So it's a very different kind. 2 camps taken. But the level 20 talent, that's really what TBD wants right now. The B's 120. And then it's a nearly 2-level lead in which there is very little to do but sit back, sit tight, and hope for the 20 abilities to get there. So Mopsio, yeah, he's gonna go straight and just collects one wave after another. But this is not really looking too pretty right now for the Russian Circus. The level 20 talents are going to be a massive, massive boost right now, obviously, duh, for TBD. And I mean, with that, we are seeing them now on their Storm talents. That means, first of all, wow, Slaughterhouse even goes for the Slaughterhouse here. I mean, if they can lock everyone down after Leyline Seal, maybe even. Yeah, well, not like this. Not like this. That was a complete miss right there. But yeah, they have the Bob and Weave also taken right now. We're seeing them with Medivh cheats. Well, we all know he does, but still. So yeah, redirecting the wave even. Storm Shield and Rewind. So Muradin has a lot more utility and stuns. Up at the top lane, a bit of value has been gotten by the camp, but it's still an entire level disadvantage. One more level. And yeah, they take one of those shrines, but they kind of need to play around the opponent right now in order to prevent another Dragonite that could take a keep, should take a keep. Try to go for the drag, but Benny was a little bit too far in this case. Okay, so the bot lane, ADRD is still there. I mean, he's providing vision with his bird the entire time. It's one of the reasons why we have, of course, the bird's eye view on level 4. It gives you even more of a setup. And yeah. Yeah. Good luck, son. Okay. That was totally unnecessary and didn't do a thing. Great play by Tyrael. That was definitely the one move that they needed to make. Stop him from going through the portal. Now they take a 4 versus 5. 20 talents or no, they say, we take this. Silence is through. Ring of Frost is on the ground. That's the chance that they have. This is the moment where you need to get a few kills. 20 or no 20, it doesn't matter. Butcher is down, they need more than that. They need to save Stefkaja. They need to save the Ice Cream, who barely gets away. Stefkaja is low, has to escape here. They get the Dragonite, and they have level 20 talents. 2 kills against 1, and they get Curson. Uh-oh. ADRD made a bit of a mistake, and it could cost them, theoretically, even the game. Camp at the top lane is pushing. They have the Dragonite. They need to get value right now. 3 kills, and only Vala is missing. That was a huge blow. Farfly Quiver right now, which is a great tool for Vala to stay a little bit safer and get maximum Manticore value. We're seeing a Bolt of the Storm, another big tool, Hardened Shield, the improved Ice Block, and the Ahaka hasn't even taken his talent just yet. Currently the Dragonite is going to pick that later, but they are going to get value with this. Brightwing is still not there. Medivh is, but Brightwing isn't ready just yet. Leyline Seal Odin, it's all there, but they want to go for the keep, and they should be able to at least pressure it, if not drop it here. That Dragonite, it hurts. At this point, it hurts. There comes the Odin. starting to commandeer that. They're jumping in deep. Power of Dream is low. Mopsio is pulled. Oh, that's a punt. That's a pretty tough target. No kills against them. Here comes the Leyline Seal. Gets that in. Mopsio, it cannot punt them away. Goes for the 20. Ring of Frost is in. They're starting to move straight for Mirrodin. The drag is also good. ADRD is in trouble. Ah, Brightwing with the old. Everybody solo Moose. Oh, Mopsio gets. Oh, the Butcher. The Butcher. What? It's a party. The Slaughterhouse Reckoning as they get the complete wombo off. What a game. ADRD at first with a mistake, and then that counter play, and then this happens. We had the hardened shield, but even with that he couldn't survive. Now so Ice Cream is like, boys, you gotta be kidding me. I have to stop that alone? Well, good luck, Vala. Even with a Firefly Quiver. The Butcher getting the complete setup off. And they're gonna charge her eventually. He's gonna die. He has to do something here, I assume, but here, yeah, there we go. And he's on the run. Buy time. That's the only thing that he can do right now. And yeah, didn't buy a lot. Yeah, that was one of those Captain Obvious things. And that should be it, actually. That is too much damage in too short an amount of time to drop out. It's like 10 seconds. Nope, guys, this is gonna be it. TBD. They struggled a bit more than expected, but they are actually winning this with a 2-1. They are the ZOTAC champion once more. Leyline Seal pushed out one last time, and this is a GG. Well played, and congratulations to TBD.